phone. Mark Martin joins us here in the press conference portion of the Infield Media Center. Again, you guys in the back are doing a good job of holding your conversations down, and we appreciate that. Mark, big weekend at New Hampshire.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. Had a good time last time we were here, and we've got a lot of new things to look at with our car, and we're looking forward to getting our practice started here today. We've got a whole bag of things that we want to have a look at and sort of evaluate so that we can eliminate some of the things that we're going to look at tomorrow. So we just can't wait to get started.
Excellent. Questions right here.
Hi, I'm Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. Could you just comment on some of the challenges Danica Patrick is going to face on this course and in this sport?
Well, I think this racetrack is pretty straightforward. I don't think it'll be nearly the challenge that say California would pose. This is a very straightforward racetrack. There's sharp turns, not a huge amount of options on where to run and what have you. So I think this should be a comfortable deal for her here this weekend. Give her a chance to get acquainted to to this kind of racing on this size racetrack.
We'll go Chuck and then Mike Harris.
Chuck Howard, NASCAR Media Group. Mark, when you first heard that you guys were going to run at the Brickyard, A, your original thoughts, and B, has it grown into something bigger than you anticipated it would be?
Well, if you want me to be really honest with you, I thought it was ridiculous that we were going to go, run there. I didn't think that we belonged there, and I didn't think the racetrack would be conducive to stock car racing, all of which was very wrong. I was really, really wrong in my impressions of it. I think it is. I think we do belong there. I think that. The cars race really well there. I have a blast racing on that racetrack, and I think it's a tremendous addition to our schedule, and it's great for all of our fans.
Mike
Harris, RacingToday.com. Hi, Mark. Jeff Burton was just in here talking about what he considers a lack of respect among the drivers for something that happened like last week with all the craziness that went on at Sonoma.
It happens every week, though. I understand.
Well, that's what
I understand he's pointing at, but
yeah.
It wasn't just last week. It happens all the time.
Well, can you
I agree.
Elaborate a little bit about that? I mean, what is it that is it getting worse? Have things changed that much in the sport?
It is, it is getting worse, mostly because the nature of our racing and the growth of the sport. You wouldn't be able to keep a job if you raced 20 years ago, if you drove for somebody and you wrecked as many cars as you wreck today. You wouldn't keep a job. Teams could not justify or afford. They didn't have the manpower. They didn't have the money. They didn't have the manpower. They could not repair these cars and get them back out there. And you wouldn't last. But it's a different day and age now. This is different, and there's a lot of pressure on these guys, and so you don't see Jeff Burton and I running over each other, and Bobby Labonte and and a number of the veterans. We still try to race the way we raced, but we also are having to learn to race differently as well, which puts you in a bind, because sometimes it's just for example, I almost spun Jeff Gordon out, and boy, I didn't want to, but I was racing all these cats around me, and we flew into the corner harder than I wanted to because I was having to race the cats around me, and I almost ran over him as he did some guys. You know, I almost got lured into the same situation. It was very close, and the racing today is about the thrill of watching it on TV, and the racing 20 years ago or 25 years ago was about the sport. It wasn't really about the thrill. It was about being a part of something that you loved, and you know, it was a lot smaller, less entertainment oriented. You just had to, if you weren't one of the top teams, you had to survive. You know, you had to, you know, you couldn't afford to go out there and wreck these things every week. You just had to do the best that you could with what you had to work with and close the deal the best you could. So it's different. It's different now. It's much more entertaining.
Gary, go ahead.
It's going to be, it is what it is. You know, you take a 25-year-old driver and it's NASCAR racing to them. But you take Jeff Burton or myself or whatever, and you might think, ooh, this is different. You know, to the kids, it's not different.
Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Gary Graves, USA Today. In light of all of the comments about rough driving, I mean, how do you see these next 10 races leading up to the chase going? I mean, is it one of those things where you think, you know, all bets are off now between drivers, and you know, it's going to be the culmination of have at it, boys?
It's the same thing as it is every week. It's no different. Don't over-dramatize it. It is what it is. It's been, you know, it's been this way all year long, and it was this way last year as well. And you know, as we go forward, the kind of the kind of racing that we had at the end of Pocono and at Sonoma will not be every 3 weeks. You know, in the future, it will be every week, everywhere. Right now, it's every third week or so. You know, every other whatever. You know, it's moving toward that more and more. That's what equal cars and double file restarts and waiver rounds and all that other stuff. That's what it brings you to, you know, which is going to be fun to watch.
Marty, go ahead.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Mark, to a degree, you've been in Marcos Ambrose's shoes. You've sort of experienced that type of heartbreak. How much do you feel for him?
Well, I feel for him a lot, but on the other hand, I know that he will survive because I did. So, you know, I feel for him. But, you know, I can tell him, you know, I can share stories with him. I already have today, you know, share stories with him that are of anguish and heartbreak and a long time coming stories and stuff like that as well. So had many wins slip through my fingers before we finally got our first one, including running second 6 times. So it was a long time coming, and he's a great person and a great driver, and will survive it all and win.
Anything else for Mark? No? Mark, thank you. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys.